Isles of Sea and Sky is an adventure puzzle game that feels like a combination of a 2D Legend of Zelda title and a Sokoban block-pushing puzzle game. And that's sort of because it is. The developers have stated that two of this game's inspirations are The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, one of the best-selling titles for the Game Boy Color, and Chip's Challenge, a game that you will forget exists the moment I take this picture off the screen. It's an interesting idea, and perhaps surprisingly, it's a combination that works together perfectly. Isles of Sea and Sky has the vibe of an old-school adventure game where you want to get lost in this mystical pixel art world, but it also has the polish of a modern indie puzzle game and the sleekness and creativity of the mechanics and the smoothness of the gameplay. You can probably already tell that this is going to be a positive review, and that didn't come as a surprise to me because this is a game that I've been waiting to play for about 4 years. There is a video on this channel where I reviewed the pre-release demo of this game because it was so good that I just had to recommend it. It was a good game then, back before it was called Isles of Sea and Sky, and it's an even better game now with like 10 times more content to it. So you could stop watching this video and go and buy Isles of Sea and Sky, or let's talk about how this game plays. Isles of Sea and Sky is set across 4 main islands, all with slightly different twists on the game's core mechanics. Each island is split up into 25 rooms or levels, and within each of those rooms, Isles of Sea and Sky will have some number of collectible items that you need to pick up to make progress, but those items are hidden behind boxes or pillars or holes in the ground, and you can only reach them by solving a puzzle. So in the very first room of the game, you wash up on a beach, and the only path out of that room is blocked by a green padlock. There's a matching green key to the right-hand side of the screen, but it's obstructed by a red pillar, although there's a red gong in the top left of the screen behind 2 wooden boxes. So you push a box out of the way, realise you've done something wrong, reset the level, push the box in a different way, make a path to ring the gong which breaks the pillar, and you collect the key to use it on the padlock. The puzzle is solved, and that's the general gist of how you play every level in the game. Although obviously the puzzles quickly start to get bigger, or add new mechanics, or just generally require trickier or cleverer sequences of moves for you to solve them. As you solve puzzles, you can start picking up all of the game's many collectibles that let you progress in different directions. Items like coloured gems or keys or blue stars. Many parts of Isles of Sea and Sky's world are locked behind star requirements, and it's an unashamedly 90s/early 2000s game design. The puzzles in Isles of Sea and Sky are really clever, and there's a strong range of mechanics within the game. While the starting island is filled with fairly typical Sokoban ideas, basic blocks, buttons and traps in the floor, each of the other islands has a clever elemental twist to give the zone a unique feel. The water island has these rivers that you can push boxes down, the air island has patches of ice that make it hard to control your movement, and the fire island has these really clever interactions between boxes and the lava that's seeping through the floor. Pushing boxes over too much lava causes them to explode, which is a bad thing, or a good thing depending on the context. Sometimes you'll need to navigate carefully to keep a box alive, but other times you'll want to deliberately force an explosion to break some sort of destructible object. It's a really interesting mechanic that I've not seen anything quite like before, despite having played a lot of Sokoban games. In addition to being a puzzle and adventure game, there's also one more genre that Isles of Sea and Sky fits into. I noticed when I was playing the first island that there were rooms and puzzles where the stars were simply impossible to reach. There was no possible solution to the level. But after I'd collected more of the gold gems and taken them to the stone god I'd found at the top of the island, the god transformed every golden rock in the game into a golden rock golem. These rock elementals would roll when pushed, and the puzzles that previously looked impossible now had solutions. Isles of Sea and Sky is a puzzle metroidvania. You solve puzzles to collect items that open doors or gain abilities, and when you do, it opens up new places to explore all across the map. Activating the gods is also the path to completing the game's main story, and the additional puzzle elements that the 4 gods bring to the game add even more of a unique flavour to the puzzles of each island. The design of these elements is just superb, and if you're a player who's going to push for 100% completion, then you're guaranteed to come across some puzzles where you'll just want to applaud how clever the interactions are between all the different elementals and blocks and environments. Isles of Sea and Sky explores so many strong ideas in its puzzles to create a really clever game, where ideas can transfer from puzzle to puzzle or room to room, but it always feels like you're solving something completely new. Everything I've talked about so far is the Sokoban part of this game, but I haven't talked so much about the adventure. The puzzles of Isles of Sea and Sky aren't all Sokoban. In addition to the very logical problems, there are also ones that are more elusive, where you need to think creatively and be observant to figure out what you're even trying to do. This is how a sort of open world puzzle game justifies its open world, and it's by making it interesting in and of itself. A world with intrigue that you want to explore. And as it turns out, the way to make a world feel like it's mysterious and full of secrets is actually really simple. It's to fill the world with secrets. This is something that another game called Electhead also did exceptionally well. In addition to whatever the main puzzle was in a room, there was the occasional sneaky path hidden in plain sight, just off the side of the screen that would lead to a secret area, and it was so satisfying and rewarding every single time I spotted one. Isles of Sea and Sky does the exact same thing, but on a whole other level. An obscure path around the edge of a map, a hidden walkway, a collectible that blends into the floor, little things that you might not notice the first time you pass through a room. The entire game is filled with details that encourage curiosity and exploration. I thought when I played this game for the first time that it felt like a PlayStation 1 title, and it's not because it looks like one, or even that it shares the particular qualities of a game from that era. I think it's simply because it made me feel like a 10-year-old, with a joyous excitement at searching for hidden paths, wondering what more there was to the game than meets the eye, and with this constant anticipation for everything new. And I think that sense combines really, really well with the puzzle genre. You want to find out what's in the next room, but the entire heart of the gameplay is figuring out how to get there. The slower pace of solving puzzles builds the anticipation of the adventure. There are two halves to the quality of Isles of Sea and Sky, and they work together perfectly. I also just wanted to point out a couple more things. One is that Isles of Sea and Sky has all the modern day quality of life features that I'd expect from a modern Sokoban puzzle game. Namely, the ability to reset rooms with a single button, and a Ctrl-Z ability to undo actions one by one. Those features should be in every puzzle game, and so this is basically just a confirmation that it has them. The other thing I want to mention is that the footage of the game you can see is from a slightly early build of the game that came out about 1 week before the full release. All the main game content is finalised in this build, but a few puzzles for 100% completion will be finalised in the full release. So that's why it says this in the bottom corner of the map screen, and I just wanted to avoid any confusion. Overall, Isles of Sea and Sky is just a great new addition to both the Sokoban genre and honestly just indie gaming in general. I think this is a game that you can enjoy if you are a die-hard Sokoban fan who wants to push through every last challenging puzzle to 100%, or if you're just happy to solve what you need to make it through to the end. The quality is going to be there either way. This is a game that I've been looking forward to playing for 4 years now, and despite my incredibly high expectations, I wasn't disappointed by it in the slightest. Isles of Sea and Sky is a game that I highly recommend checking out.